Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So we are starting this session of the afternoon. So I'm Aurélie Delaterre. I'm a project manager in the coordination team of Gluon for this project of Starts in the City. And I'm really happy to be at this symposium. I have to say, not only for the great discussions, but also because it is a final event of Starts in the City. And it has been a super experience, I think, at the level of project implementations, but also at human level. And I feel very grateful for the collaborations that we had as a consortium with ladies that I want to thank for their professionalism and engagement. Ramona from Gluon, Rosanna from Meet, Rita and Maria from Innova, Lisa and Veronica from Ars Electronica, Jana from Kersnikova, and Tere and Anna, of course, of ACTE. So thank you. So in Starts in the City, we have built methodologies to assess the impact of collaborative processes between artists, scientists, and technologists. And we will present and critically discuss them in this session. So we will, after we articulating the framework employed, we will share with you some key findings and insights from the evaluation of the residencies program and the academies that we have implemented across our 6 European regions. And at the end, we will open the discussion around the strategic tracks for future START projects. So as an introduction, I wanted to give you a little bit of context of how we approached impact assessment in STARTs. And before I continue, I must tell you that this introduction is my personal experience as a project manager, first when I was working at Innova in Portugal, and then I continued with STARTs as a freelance. So as it was said before, the STARTs initiative was born around 11 years ago, first with a study and a lot of lobbying and negotiations at the initiative of Ralph Doom in the DigiConnect. And then an event was organized, the first event, until 2017, when the first large residencies program was launched that was called Vertigo, with 40 residencies. And this is where my story with STARTs began, because at the time I was working at Innova as a project manager. And Innova was one of the partners of the project. So let's say that our focus for this first large project was really to develop a methodology to facilitate the residencies. It was new to everyone, at least at this large scale, with 40 residencies, so to mediators in cultural organizations, to the artists, to the tech partners, to the scientists. So we had to learn together how to ensure a smooth communication between all parties involved, how to design and follow a common work plan, how to manage expectations, and how to monitor progress and outcomes. And this question of the impact was not really central, because our objective was really, our priority was to enhance the collaborations, to make it work, and to have tangible results to present at the end of the residencies. But we didn't really talk about impact. At least this word was really not critically employed. And this doesn't mean that we didn't collect any data from the residencies, but I think that it's more correct to say that we have collected feedback and monitored progress and results. The question of innovation has always been central in STARTS, because let's not forget that STARTS is funded by DigiConnect, which is the Directorate General for Communication Networks, Content and Technology, that focuses on digital economy at European level. And the STARTS initiative was built on the central idea that transdisciplinary collaborations have a strong potential of innovation for the European economy. So we had always this question in mind. And then after this big first project, STARTS continued. It grew a lot. with large projects such as where sustain and reframe in the topic of textile and fashion, mind spaces on architecture, Starts for Water on, you can guess, water. And then in 2019, I would say that we had maybe a pivotal moment in Starts with a project that was called Starts Ecosystem. It was a coordination and support action funded by Horizon. And it was really a moment where we built Starts as a community, as a family, as we say now, to establish, for example, common communication and branding guidelines, that we decided to have only one website for all the Starts projects, that we also created some spaces so the partners of the project could exchange best practices, and that we don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time with a new project. So we have established this Starts as a big network, and I think this is one of the strengths of Starts. And at the same time, we had also the first Starts regional centers that were launched, with the idea that we had to anchor Starts at regional level and at local level to sustain the initiative, but also to diversify its source of funding. And since then, we had 3 runs of Starts regional centers. So along this process, let's say that we had other concerns that measuring the impact of the residencies. And even if it was always important to produce tangible results, we didn't have a single open call, for example, issued by the Commission that really focused on impact measurements. So when we wrote the proposal for Starts in the City and we got ACTE on board, we thought it was time to work really on this question of impact. Because of course, if you want to go to policymakers and say, yes, you have to fund schemes in the Starts mindset, they will tell you, okay, but why? And you have to present some arguments that we had intuitions, we have our experiences, but we really didn't have strong reports to do this. And with the partnership of the researchers of WOC that are members of ACTE, we thought, okay, this is our chance to do it. And I think that with the reports that we will present, we really gave a step up in the project and this field of impact measurement. So now I will let the team that wrote the reports to explain it all. Oh yeah, I forgot totally to, I had yes, this was supposed to be on my background. It's a beautiful image. Now you can see it. So we will start with a general frame of the assessment report approaches that Alba Colombo will present. So Alba is an associate professor and researcher at WOC. Her research centers on the critical analysis of the contemporary significance of cultural events and festivals as social and cultural expressions, as well as spaces for resistance, disruptions, and platform for equity, diversity, inclusion, well-being, and human rights. She is a specialist in evaluation models for cultural projects. She emphasizes mixed methodologies that integrate both quantitative and qualitative methods. And she has advised various research and administrative institutions and currently serves as the director of the master's degree in cultural management at the University Oberta de Catalunya. No,
the other way around. Okay. Which one is this one? This?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Aurélie. Now it's my turn. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to be here. ACTE, Pau, Aurélie, and other colleagues. It was really a pleasure being like an advisor in this project because I had the chance to see it a bit in deep what you have done, and I think it was a great initiative and a great project. So, but now I would like to introduce a frame. What does it mean, assessment or an impact evaluation on a project? And therefore, I will start with this picture. Anyone would ask, why this picture? Well, because for me, it's an illustrative idea. What does it mean, an impact for something? So this wonderful audience has been in the 1963 in Paris. Of course, it was a puppet show at the streets of Paris. But you could see this is a non-indifference there. It's something that impacted the people. It's something that impacted these kids. And you could see the different dimensions, how different reactions of these kids at what they have been seeing. Therefore, for me, if we could ask what is an evaluation assessment impact project, is to try to measure, to see this, that sometimes is very complicated to do. If the project is much more complex, it's much more complex also to do the evaluation process. So therefore, for me, this captivated, enthusiastic, powerful reaction is what I would like to measure in moments when some people like you ask me, oh, you would like to assess us, how we can do this evaluation project, an impact evaluation project of the arts in the city. There is another metaphor that I think is very illustrative also when we talk about what are impacts of something. And it is this drop, a drop that falls down, impacted directly a surface, and generate waves, different waves underwater, for example. And this is a clear idea that these different waves impacted in different dimensions, different suspects, different people, different actions that have something to do and related with the project, the drop. So therefore, today what I would like to do and talk to you is about what we understand and how are, for me, the best way to assess and to evaluate projects like the one that we have been doing here. I think it's this one. Yes. The first thing that I will introduce you is when and how and who is the people doing this assessment evaluation process. Always in literature, but also through the practices experience that have been experienced along my career is evaluation process, assessment projects, impact assessment evaluation processes. They're not this thing that we do at the end to put it in the report because some administrative body, financier, is asking for. It's something that we could consider and we need to consider from the beginning on. That means the evaluation process, the evaluation indicators, it should be done also together with the design of the process itself. If we do it at the end, it's just a report. It's just something that it's not really taking care from the beginning on. And it is the basis to understand properly what does it mean to do evaluation assessment or an impact assessment. Here we have this I couldn't read there, so we have this circle, right? So make a definition, what we like to do on the project, but also in the evaluation processes, collect the data properly, analyze, report, and share and informed. And then we will see with iterative concepts in a few, and then do it again and see if your design is correctly, if the report that you're doing is the one that you need, because sometimes what we do, and I was also a cultural manager, so it's doing this kind of report at the end, selecting some of the data and just making a description. But the analysis of the project itself as evaluation, but also an impact report is more than that. Therefore, important thing to do, to think about this circle. Therefore, think about a clear objectives, a clear structure, how you will assess really the project, in which moment you will assess the project. These things, it seems to be clear, but sometimes we forget when we start to design the process, because a project like the Stars in the City, the residencies that we have been doing here, has a legacy. And like this puppet show, we would like to measure which is the legacy. And if we do not have the design done well, so we will not have the possibility to measure this legacy. Again, as you say, so I am strongly believer, and I reivindicate this multi-approach, this multi-methodological approach, multi-methodological approach, because it's the truly holistically view what we are doing. Impact evaluations, you will see, we have read, and there's a lot of documentation how to do impact evaluation and quantitative. We could do surveys, we could measure economical impacts, even we could measure things like mobility in quantitative ways. What about the quality? So the quality gives us the possibility to add other kind of information that will be able to give us more holistical view how exactly the residencies of STARTS impacted career, for example, of our residents, or career of our investigators working together with artists. Therefore, if we would like to have a comprehensive, holistic assessment, we need to do it in a mixed methods. So I'm a strong believer of that, and I talk at different congresses and with colleagues to reivindicate that. Why? Because it's a costly point. So you must invest more resources, more time, more money, more processes. But this quantification, it's fine, but the qualification of the data, it's much more interesting and much more in-deep. You can do a in-deep analysis of what you do. To understanding, for example, in quality, the participants' subjective approach. What happened? What would happen in your life? What would be the path that you have done through the residencies for your future? And again, it's not about the subjectivity of the participants. It's also about the flexibility of the process. So if we just are talking about different scenarios, because something changed, you must measure that, and you must understand how you measure this. And this is able through the quality approach of the processes. Because again, so if we are talking like a big project, like the one that we're talking here, that has actions, programs, have been different shows, have been different labs, different performances, is a complex project. And as a complex project, we cannot talk just about quantitative data. And also is a multi-sectorial approach, and that's the beauty of the process of the assessment project. Another point that we'd like to talk about is the iterative. Why iterative? Because it should be done in a different moments. And if we do it in the right way, so we'll be able to measure one thing to see what we could improve in the next one and do it again. So that means it's like a commitment from the assessment all along the project, not only at the end, not just at the beginning, but also all along the project. So a kind of ongoing method that we could approach again. If we see something that it's not working really well, could we change it? Could we do it an ongoing process? Because that could be also hindrances in the middle of the project, and we must go through these hindrances, and we could measure these hindrances to do something better at the end. That means also repeatedly developed a process that it's like a breaching the design of the project itself and the research about the project, the assessment about the project. It's something that it bridges this iterative concept of the project. Okay, and finally, I would like to do some short recommendations. What we do when we approach a project like that, and we must do assessment and impact evaluation, what has been the results of the project, etc. Of course, that is important to understand and to underline a good design of time and resources, where we put our effort and when all around the process. Sometimes I have seen a lack of a clear objectives, what we would like to see with this assessment. We would like to observe the impact to whom and to where exactly. So that's also an important point. Of course, the engagement of stakeholders, it should be done in a right way, in the right moment. You could not ask an artist that is in the residencies just at the end, what you feeling about this? So you must understand what is the worries that the artist has to approach the residency, what happened in the middle, and observing what happened at the end. And of course, data collection and data management. What we do at the end with the data that we have, which kind of evaluation we do, which kind of model of analysis we will have to be able to understand if there is a link or we have been done well this evaluation. And for this end, I would like just to underline that like the wonderful audience that we have seen in Paris in '63. So we are a community now here that is dedicated to a project, the Stars in the City, with the residencies here in Barcelona. 63 years ago, we started a project, and we started a project with the residencies here in Barcelona. 63 years ago, we started a project, and we started a project with the residencies here in Barcelona. 63 years ago, we started a project, and we started a project with the residencies here in Barcelona. we are not indifferent about what we have doing here, and the commitment and the involvement from projects organizers, artists, programmers will create and has created a lasting legacy to all the people involved, and memories that we will share in our life, memories, experiences, and they would influence our future. And the important thing to do is to observe how. And this is the assessment impact evaluation project. Thank you.
Thank you, Alba. So now we will continue with Elisenda Ardèvol. So Elisenda is a professor at the Faculty of Arts and Humanities of Work in the field of social and cultural anthropology, and visiting professor at the Department of Anthropology, History and Humanities of Blasco in Ecuador. Her research career stands out for its interdisciplinary nature and the breadth of her fields of study, with a transversal focus on ethnography and qualitative methodologies related to the media. Her current lines of research in the Media Actions Group are related to the development of digital ethnography, anthropology of design, creative practices, environmental activism, and narratives. And Elisenda will guide us through the methodological frameworks that we have developed through Start in the City.
Thank you, Aurelie, for your presentation, and thank you all for engaging me in that huge and interesting project. I have to say that I was involved through strange circumstances to be here today, but I enjoyed this project very much, and I think that it's a very challenging project, and it's a very challenging, the proposal of trying to measure impact, not only from a quantitative point of view, but also introducing qualitative aspects. So thank you very much for involving me in that messy world of qualitative research and science, technology, and art, and how we have proceeded to try to develop a methodological framework to deal with the measurement of the residence performance. We depart from two questions. I think I have to change this. No, this one. Just 2 points of departure have to do with how can we effectively measure if the residence program has achieved its objectives and goals, and at the same time, how we can gain insights from the stakeholders for redefining future iterations, as Alba said, for the program and improving then the overall effectiveness of the program. So this was the main goals of this methodological framework, and the idea was to develop qualitative KPIs as a complement to quantitative KPIs. Why? Because as Alba said, we thought that we need to add context and to go depth in the processes and how the people involved, the participants of the residence program, perceive, engage, feel, and think and experience all the development of the residences. And we consider that their point of view is very important to understand the process and to try to improve it from their own understandings, not only from the perspective of as objective or quantitative measurement of what about how many workshops have been done, but the quality of these workshops and the quality that people engaged in these workshops feel about it, and thought about how it can be improved. So for data collecting, for data collecting, what we did is that develop a methodology, as I said, taking quantitative data, the number of the residences, the number of meetings, the number of meetings between artists and local experts groups, the outcomes, etc. But also we developed a qualitative data based on perceptions, actions, and conditions, legacy and sustainability through reports, interviews, and and focus group with catalysts, artists, and the scientists, technologists in the host residence. This is a brief table with the different kind of data we got. The written diaries was done, one at the beginning of the residence and one in the middle of the residence. It was done by the innovation catalyst and artists. Then we have one in March and another at the end of the residence in July 2034. Then we have also done a total of 27 semi-structured interviews conducted with artists and with technologists and scientists of the residence hosts during the June 2024, and also interviews with Innovation Catalyst in Milan in April 2024 and also in June 2024. So we have, as Alba said, one iterative data collected through the process at the beginning, at the middle, and also at the end with a focus group with Catalyst, Innovation Catalyst. So for dealing with we have the objectives of the STARTS program. We have also different kinds of dimensions to measure, and we have to begin with some kind of research question that guides us through the development of the qualitative indicators. And so we divide these objectives in three main questions regarding the dynamics of interdisciplinary collaboration, regarding the creation of a knowledge ecosystem for creativity and innovation, and also regarding the dissemination, community involvement, and lasting enduring impact of the residents in the participants. So these three main questions were developed through 2 questions, each one, related with how to measure this kind, or how to answer this kind of questions with our qualitative data in the analysis. So here we present the qualitative analytical model with it. So we have in mind the 5 big dimensions that which are the categories we want to measure. We want to assess the impact of the residence program through these 5 dimensions, with this: what about interdisciplinary collaboration? What happened with innovation and creativity? Which are the nuances and the dynamics of the residency process and the residence performance? Which are the actions undertaken for public and community engagement? And which are the perception of long-term impact of the participants of the residence program? So we have these 5 dimensions. We have identified these fundamental 5 dimensions. Then each dimension has been untangled in 3 aspects. That is perceptions, that has to do with expectations, feelings, impressions, experience of the participants. Actions and conditions, which is the actions undertaken, the condition set for the program residents, the nuances that people go across during the residence program. And then the legacy as the endurable outcomes, tangible and intangible, of the residents. For developing this qualitative analysis, we thought that these 5 dimensions and aspects have to be contemplated from 3 different points of view or perspective, that of the stakeholders. That's why we take the stakeholders as the independent variable that measures and gives insights into these 5 dimensions in these 3 kinds of aspects. That is which was the perceptions and understandings of the artist, the scientist and technologist, and from the innovation catalyst. Here is an example with the dimension of the interdisciplinary collaboration. And here you can see this is the broad dimension, and these the different aspects: perceptions, actions and conditions, and legacy. And these the qualitative indicators we developed for getting the insights of these 3 different perspectives, which is the experience, preconceptions, arts versus sciences that the participants undergo, and the expectations they have about the process. Also, for actions and conditions, we have found that cooperation, it's a very important, it's all this action that leads to cooperate and collaborate, but also these actions that bring some difficulties on it, such as we called it disconnection, with the problems that the stakeholders face within the dynamics of collaboration. And also the legacy finally is regarding the transformation or the changes in perceptions of the participants involved about the relationship between art, science, technology, and society. And finally, how it has been also as a legacy, a mutual influence that changed the mindset of the participants, no? Expanding this relationship further in time and engaging them in further projects related with interdisciplinary collaboration. Yeah. And at the end, I will say just something about the analysis, the qualitative analysis. It was done by S+T. So what we have done is put all the transcribed interviews and the diaries and the focus group, transcribing the focus group, and all we set as documents regarding artists, scientists and technologists, and also innovation catalysts. So these three main perspectives were put into the data set. And what we did is coding all these perceptions, opinions, and actions undertaken in these 5 predefined dimensions, okay? So this was a deductive analysis. That is, we tried to codify the interviews relating which sentences with these 5 related with which dimension. They are talking about collaboration, they are talking about difficulties, they are talking about residence performance, they are talking about expectations. So we have been codifying all the data. For example, there was also an inductive process. New categories emerge in that process of categorizing and codifying. So for example, previous experience, in the example before, it was a new code that has been emerged from the codifying process. So what we, as coding process progressed, new codes were systematically arranged, and at the end, we have a list of codifying that has to do with the final indicators of qualitative indicators, okay? So we did that to ensure rigor in our qualitative analysis. We did a process of triangulation. As we said, we use different data sources, diaries, interviews, and focus group. We cross-checked the findings to identify consistent patterns, themes, and increase the credibility of findings. We also did, we codified different researchers who were involved in the codification process, and we also have reunions meetings, excuse me, to contrast our ways of codifying and make arrangements and discuss new codes and categories. And this reinforced the consistency and reliability, excuse me, of our data. And also, of course, we also use peer debriefing. So we regularly discuss our analytical model with colleagues and experts in the field, as Alba was supporting us and checking our processes. And we redefined and tried to, it was also an iterative process of redefining all this data treatment and data analysis. I think that at the end, what we got is a set of indicators, qualitative indicators, and what we have done for our analysis, if on the one hand, we have see how these 5 dimensions comportarse, no, work in relation with these three perspectives, that of scientist, artist, and innovation catalyst, what they were the different perspectives, for example, in which kind of difficulties they found, which kind of problems or successes they perceived. So these three was, as I said, the main dimension of the analysis, but also we cross the dimensions. For example, trying to see if what relates with collaboration and interdisciplinary collaboration and difficulties, and what happens if we cross-tap these two variables. And for example, as now our colleague is going to tell us, some different insights we gained about this cross-tap analysis. And we think that this dual approach in combining this stakeholders' perspective with dimensions correlations analysis ensures a robust and nuanced understanding of the program's impact and help us to assess what's the performance of the residences, and also we gain a lot of worth value analysis and insights to improve in future, I hope, in future residence programs. So with that, I left my, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Elisenda. So now we will go through the big questions that we have. What did we find in this report? So that will be presented by Anna and Laia. So Laia Blasco from Open University of Catalunya. She is director of the bachelor's degree in arts and lecturer on the bachelor's degrees in multimedia and design and digital creation at WOC. A lot of experience in the network and information technologies, multimedia, and currently artistic and academic research focuses on the creation, study, and critique of interactive visual tools for experimentation and learning. And with her, Anna Pinotti from ACTE, who holds a degree in audiovisual communication, also from WOC. She works as a freelance cultural manager and consultant, accompanying public institutions and private organizations, and since the beginning of the year is a project manager of ACTE.
Thank you, Aurélie. I will go deep in the main findings of the report, but first, I would like to say that several of these findings and also challenges that this assessment process that we made concerning the 11 residencies of stars in the city have been mentioned in the panel discussions and in the conversations held here in the symposium during yesterday and today. And I think that it aligns us from different contexts, from different projects, to continue thinking and conveying how these ASTR relationships can go ahead. So as we have time constraints and we have a huge report, it's impossible to explain all the report here, but I try to group the more relevant findings of the analysis in three main blocks. One is, I call them interdisciplinary collaboration is more than cooperation. The second one, process versus outcome. And the third one, creation of knowledge ecosystems. All the findings that I will explain are support, as Elisenda has just said, in the report, both by quantitative and qualitative data collected from these three different stakeholder groups: artists, innovation catalysts, that are the figures that have been facilitating all the residencies held in stars in the city, and also scientists or technologists that have worked in each one of the residencies. Okay, so concerning the first block, interdisciplinary collaboration is more than cooperation. The STARS initiative is predicated on interdisciplinary collaboration with which participants identified as a primary objective. From artist perspective, collaboration dynamics relies on mainly establishing trust, providing support, soliciting or asking for advice, and also offering assistance from scientific community in achieving the project objectives. On the other hand, scientists view collaboration with artists as a source of inspiration, means to generate novel ideas for innovation, an opportunity to disseminate findings to a broader audience, and also they highlight in all the conversations we had with them the distinct or different worldviews, mindsets, and methodologies of artists, which can act as catalyst for creative disruption and can facilitate the achievement of significant social impact. For both the residency program, for both scientists and artists, the residency program is perceived as a collaborative space for innovation. I will accompany my presentation with some quotes that we have included in the report of the different stakeholders, and also with some graphs that that illustrate some of our findings. I won't read the quote, so you can you can read by yourself. Concerning the findings of the analysis of the collaborative and knowledge-sharing practices of the different disciplines during the residency program, we have found the significance of cooperation, transformation, and mutual influence as key factors in determining the success of this interdisciplinary collaboration. But despite collaboration is necessary and recognized by both scientists and artists, the following graph shows you two important questions. That mutual influence, understood as the perceived reciprocal effects during the residency, is perceived to a larger extent by artists than by scientists. On the other hand, the degree of disconnection, understood as difficulties in collaboration, communication, or coordination, or the perceived limitations in working together within the different stakeholders, is more perceived by scientists than artists. We have also found a significant correlation between interdisciplinary collaboration and the innovation and creativity indicators. As this figure shows, the majority of the innovative efforts associated with the residency program were directed towards the artistic project. This emphasis on innovation within the artistic domain or the artistic outcome or prototype demonstrate a comparatively reduced impact of the interdisciplinary collaboration in the scientific domain. The graphic on screen illustrates also clearly the impact of the perception of disconnection on the perception of innovation breakthroughs. The collaborative efforts were primarily concentrated on the artistic project development again, and with less emphasis on this scientific side. The data reveals an imbalance in expectations regarding the innovation outcomes between science and artists. Scientists perceive their influence on artistic innovation to be constrained, but artists express that they have not engaged with scientists to the extent that they would have liked. It draws attention to the difficulty of integrating disparate mindsets and methodologies between the two worlds, or the two disciplines. The objective to bridge this gap is to foster collaboration and holistic understanding across disciplines, recognizing the value each one brings to a broader pursuit of knowledge. This objective is very much dependent on the role of the facilitator, that under the STARTS program we call Innovation Catalyst. The interdisciplinary collaboration depends on the management of different ways of thinking and working to create this collaborative space where conversation can flourish, and this is the main role of this figure of the innovation catalyst. I will skip to the next block that we call process versus outcome. The data has shown that the residency process is a key dimension. This dimension refers, as Elisenda said, to the assessment of the effectiveness of the implementation and development of the residencies. Here we examine the selection process of the artists, so the call for applications that was launched a year and a half ago, and the conditions, tangible and intangible, that facilitate the integration of participants into research environments. But here, which are the most relevant factors in these interdisciplinary collaboration processes? Here we go. On one hand, the first one is temporality. We have found that it's one of the main difficulties regarding this dimension of residency process, mainly for the artists. It should be noted that for all the artists interviewed, a 9-month residency, that is more or less the length of the residencies in STARTS in the city, is a reasonable period of time, but de facto is too short if we are asking them to combine research and production or project development that will be exhibited in cultural and artistic venues, festivals, and so on. So the time frame of the residency made it difficult for artists and scientists to engage in deep and meaningful collaborations. And they both agree that spending time together is essential for engaging in this real interdisciplinary collaboration. In this sense, qualitative data reveal that artists and scientists place a high value on conversations as a trigger for exchange of ideas and establishment of trust. The second question is what we call setting and integration. This refers to the working conditions and facilities provided by the host institutions to artists. Also that the projects or the program gives to the stakeholders that are not the main, that are not the artists who are the main, com es diu, receptors? Receivers, sorry, of the grants. And facilities provided by the artist institutions, and also the integration of artists in scientific and tech environments. I was speaking about setting and integration. Artists express concerning this their satisfaction with the working conditions, the flexibility to organize their work, and the conditions set by the scientific and technological communities, also by the hosting partners of the consortium, such as desk in the laboratories, access to research facilities, and so on. Scientists also express how they have provided the artists with an inspiring environment and access to their resources. However, taking advantage of this environment requires that artists and scientists effectively share time and space, which has not always been the case in these residencies. Another important question here is the definition of the open call. In fact, Veronica yesterday also talked about this and other questions that I will pose on the table. The nature of the call of STARTS in the City implied the presentation of a well-defined artistic project that was able to address different challenges that were proposed. However, having to present from the beginning such a developed project meant that it was difficult in some cases to change or modify later this initial idea or this initial project. Also due these time constraints that I was talking about before. Data shows that the most rewarding process from scientist perspectives has to do with the process of selecting the challenge and the project. And after that, some of them felt trapped into a project that they cannot transform or intervene. So here we have found an important tension between two different aims of the program, of the project. On one hand, to deliver an outcome, an artwork, a prototype that has to be shown to a wider audience, and on the other hand, to engage in partnership to experience interdisciplinary collaboration. This is outcome versus process. Oops. I would like to share this last slide concerning this block. In this figure, we can see the indicators that facilitate or limit scientific and artistic innovation. Difficulties in temporality of the residency and shortcomings in the framework conditions, the setting, together with problems in the integration of the artists are the more relevant factors affecting innovation on the scientific side. Creativity and artistic innovation are the greatest beneficiaries of the residency program, although they are most complex and influenced by multiple factors. Notably, mentorship stands out as a critical element that artists attribute to facilitate this artistic innovation. This brings us to the last block. Towards a creation of a knowledge ecosystem. Here I want to focus on the role of two important figures who have been orbiting these residencies. One focus on facilitation of the residency, as I said, this innovation catalyst, and on the other hand, the figure of the so-called local expert group, whose role has been mainly linked to this mentorship of the artists and the projects. On the one hand, the role of the innovation catalyst, working together as intermediaries between artists, scientists, and local expert group, that I will call LECT, is crucial. The role in the residency process emphasizes collaboration as a work of translating languages, connecting people, and developing a collaborative culture. On the other hand, we have this local expert group. The data analysis highlights mentorship as the crucial factor from the artist's perspective, emphasizing the significant impact of this group in the guidance and advice of the project development. However, here it's necessary to address the involvement and the role of these legs, and the analysis yielded insights into the potential advantage of engaging during the residency process new specialized stakeholders that can fit each residency, each project with concrete needs from the artists, but also from the scientific side. I will try to go faster because we are out of time. So, on the dimension of public engagement, that for us, it's very important if we talk of this knowledge ecosystem. I have to say that in majority of the cases analyze the pressure of the calendar and the necessity of obtaining tangible results have meant that opening the collaboration process with a larger audience has not been feasible outside festivals and main venues. The role of citizens in the aforementioned process is, in most cases, not clearly defined. As they involve highly specialized approach, there are only a few instances where a strategy for citizen involvement has been established. Nevertheless, in instances where such involvement has been possible, it has been evidenced that engaging an interested audience in collaborative research cultivate a sense of co-ownership and co-responsibility, facilitating both the development of more human-centric approaches and finding better solutions for applied technologies and broadening the scope of the research. I don't know if maybe I will skip this. So yeah, I will skip. We can talk later.
You have to read the report.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah. So I give the floor to Laia. We have invited Laia to stay here with us because we are also working in another report concerning one of the other pillars of STARTS, that is academies. And we are also analyzing and trying to, propose some way forward in this pillar and see which learnings we can extract. And we find interesting, we are doing this report now, but we found interesting to have Laia here as a case study, let's say, because she has led with some of the difficulties and questions that we deal in this assessment report too.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna, Tere, really thank you for all. I'm trying to be very fast and quick if it's possible. This report, as Anna mentioned, is no, bueno. No, perquè clar, han de passar així. Vale. It's about START Academies and is a work in progress that we expect to finish in a few weeks. But now we can present some preliminary conclusions that are regarding to this impact assessment that our colleagues are talking about today. First of all, I would like to introduce a commonly accepted definition of STARS Academies as described in various STARS documents. That these STARS Academies are this kind of activities in the educational program that try to bridge the gap between art and technology and to teach digital skills to kids and young adults in a playful way. The ongoing report that we are working on now investigates the definition of STARS Academies through interviews. It analyzes the available data on the types of activities and target audiences of the STARS Academies. And additionally, it offers recommendations on these points and suggests ways to better systematize the documentation of activities. And this last is the central point of my presentation today. We have found evidence through absences rather than presences. And we have found very little information on a common definition, work and reflection for the STARS Academies, very little and even less systematic documentation on the STARS Academies, and very few or none activities focused on science. We don't go in depth in this point, and we should note that STARS Academies state that they focus their attention on art and technology, but it's inevitable to ask why science is excluded from this educational program. The STARS Academies have enormous potential impact due to the ability to connect a large and diverse range of institutions, as this graphic shows, and also reach a very diverse audience with a wide age range. But if we want to better understand the impact, we need more information that we don't currently have. The known evidences we found point to a need for some form of systematized documentation. The proposed documentation for evaluating future activities of the STARS Academies that we propose in this ongoing report is based on, first of all, a more quantitative data collection that we consider minimal but sufficient, like involved institutions, data and duration, participant profile, audience, activity, methodology, number of participants. Secondly, a mixed data collection that we consider recommended, that we can assess through assessment forms or surveys. And third, highly qualitative data collection, suitable maybe for excellence evaluation, through open-ended responses, focus groups, or interviews. Our work provides a definition of STARS academies that has emerged over these almost 10 years, and proposes a system of documentation to improve understanding and sharing. However, regarding this last point, we have also some questions that connect to Anna. I promised that I was very fast, and I'm finishing now. With better documentation, we achieve improved analysis, knowledge transfer, but does that mean we achieve transformative collaborations, especially when activities are commonly designed by only one institution? What analytical frameworks do we have to assess the true transformative capacity of these activities? And then, as like a contradiction, but part of the appeal of the STARS academies lies in their open-ended nature, which fosters creativity and adaptability. To what extent should or can we systematize their operation without losing these advantages? Anna, it's your turn again. Thank you.
And thank you, Laia.
Gracias.
And yeah, we would like to finish with the, for us, the main idea of this report. So we have assessed the 11 residencies, but I think that we also have assessed the way of assessing, let's say. So the objective of the report we made is to provide a synthesis of the experience gained from the residencies conducted in the Stars in the City project. But in order to move beyond the conventional approach of evaluating a process, we propose a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift that, in fact, Veronica was also talking yesterday, one that expands the quantitative indicators traditionally associated with the project performance. In its place, we propose a set of complementary markers, complementary indicators that will enable us to focus on the transformative capacity of art, science, technology-driven innovation, while awaiting further work that will allow us to elaborate this set of indicators. It has not been possible in the framework of these projects to do this, but what we have learned is that we need to move to this transformative shift. I don't know, maybe I will leave it here. Yeah, I have some questions to say about this, but we can talk later because we are out of time.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe it's
Anna.
interesting to open the...
Yeah, I think, I mean, we have I said at the beginning, we have really made a step up in how to assess the residencies programs in STARS, because this is this methodology, this is something that we never had before. But as you see, it's a lot of work, no? It's it has been really an investment from the consortium to do this, and I'm not sure that in other projects we would be able to do this. And but I think anyway that what is very good is that we have a basis now, we have a methodology which is very strong, and then we can pick up some elements for further projects, and I'm sure that this methodology will evolve in the future. So that's I think this is really a strong foundation that we have now. And we have so we have talked about assessment of residencies, also of academies, but in STARTS there is also another pillar, which is a STARTS prize, where our colleagues of T6 ecosystems that are here Stella and Simona that have also developed a framework to evaluate the STARTS prize. And just to finish, I know that we are late, but just to finish, maybe if you can say a few words about, I mean, how you approached also the evaluation of the STARS prize and what is different and different perspective maybe.
So in the past 3 years, we worked to assess the impact of the STARTS prize. That was a project on the prize winners and the honorary mention. We look at the presentation, and I have to say that we have a lot in common. I mean, our methodologies are really, the setup is very, very similar. So we also share, as in terms of framework, the fact that everything, the methodology should be designed together with the artists and the scientists. So it's not something that we can do it alone. It's an iterative process, so also we foresee more interaction, even because the interaction with the investigators, the principal investigators, support us in reshaping the methodologies to be really fitting with the scope. And it's a flexible approach. Also us, we use a flexible approach and a equally quantitative methodology. So that's the commonalities. We are a bit different in terms of dimension because we start from the impact areas. So we define social, economic, political, and technological impact areas, and then we go through different dimensions and variables and go down to indicators. So this is something that we also would love to discuss with you. We are now, for the STARTS Eco, we are focusing on the interdisciplinarity. So we really want to map which is the impact in terms of the collaboration between our host institution and the artist. So how the magic happens and what is coming out of it. It was a bit different with the artists because there the focus was more on the single project. Now we want to focus on the interdisciplinarity approach. So everything is super interesting. I think that also linking the discussion we had with the policy, in the policy workshop and yesterday, everything is useful. We are collecting a lot of data. We are providing papers, deliverable. I think the step forward that we as a researcher, we have to do is to combine all this knowledge and passing through to policymakers in a way they can really understand the transformative value of this initiative. Because for us, it's clear. We know the community very well. We know how the artists and the scientists are working. We are taking track. But I think that the deliverable or the paper is not, I'm sorry to say that, but is not the only thing. We need to really let the policymakers understand that what we are doing here, it's great. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So definitely work to be continued, and it would be great if in the next weeks, months, we have this occasion to continue the discussion. So story to be continued. Thank you.